The following recording is a production of Kickin' Out at 2 in conjunction with the Retromania Pro Wrestling Podcast Network and is intended for private use only. For more information, head on over to facebook.com/Kickin' Out at 2 or our Twitter handle @Kickin' Out 2, along with searching Retromania with a W on any and all podcast platforms available to listen to archive shows such as this and all the great content of the Retromania Pro Wrestling Podcast Network. Evergreen content at your fingertips anytime at your listening pleasure. And with that being said, we thank you for listening and hope you enjoy the show. Fresh off of watching probably the worst pay-per-view ever, this is your WCW 2000 or something. I'm sorry, I'm so rattled because we just watched a really shitty show, and we're going to recap it for you. But this is the WCW Uncensored 2000 recap here on Kickin' Out at 2. I'm your host, Dave Rosenbluth, and with me, I mean, the show is bad. I don't know how well your recap's going to be because you forgot half of the shit we watched or the conversations we had while we were watching this.
I think I was just in awe of just how shitty of
this is Dennis J. Levy, if you don't already know.
Always a pleasure, of course.
So, providing a little context for those of you that are listening for the first time or if you're a loyal listener, it was just recently on social media, on both Twitter and Facebook, where I gave you guys an option. I gave you a poll, and in that poll, the selections were WCW Uncensored 2000 or ECW Living Dangerously 2000. As we continue our trek through the year 2000, the final year of in wrestling, where there were three major wrestling companies, all existing, and it was a dead tie between Facebook and Twitter. So I left it up to my man Dennis over here to break the tie, and he said, "You know what? I've watched enough 2000 ECW in my day. Let's break it up. Let's go with something different. I haven't really watched a whole lot of the dead era of WCW. Well, I don't know. This might be the last time.
Yeah,
I let you make that decision.
I think I might be the victim of the moment here, but this was the worst pay-per-view I've ever seen in my life. Like between the crowd being so fucking dead, the matches are being fucking awful, the booking made no sense.
Yeah.
It was the worst concoction of a fucking pay-per-view I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah, I mean, we've watched some really crappy shows. I mean, if you go back in the archives, Dennis, if you remember, WCW Great American Bash 1991, remember that scaffold match?
With, with the rapper guy.
Yeah, Rap Master PN News. That was pretty awful. We watched WrestleMania 2 once and recapped it, which you can find in the archives. The worst WrestleMania 2 recap of all time. This show actually made WrestleMania 2 look like a classic event.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, you could say that Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy from WrestleMania 2 was one of the greatest matches of all time after watching this.
It's Taker Shawn Michaels. Oh, yeah, compared to this fucking shit. No doubt about it. Oh, no doubt about it.
It certainly was. And speaking of archives, if you want to go back in the archives and check it out, you can find all the great shows from Kickin' Out at 2 as well as Retromania over on Podbean by searching Retromania with a W, or on any podcast platform available by searching Retromania with a W as well. Cool Truth of AC, Marking Out the Days, Hulkamania is Dead, Origins of Attitude, this show Kickin' Out at 2, all the great content over there. Find it. Evergreen podcast at your fingertips. You can listen to it. It still holds its value to this day. So check it out over there. And thanks for smashing the polls on social media. Like I said, it was a dead tie. I'm surprised there were people that even voted for this show.
They just wanted us to suffer. I just was like, fuck it. I don't remember anything of this era of WCW.
No.
I'm a huge fucking ECW fan. So I up and down. I can't verbatim like the ECW shows, but like I've seen enough where I'm just like, I know what I'm gonna get. I want something. I'm
a little different.
Yeah, instead of taking curtain number 1, I took the mystery box, and I'm really regretting it.
You took the what?
I got the zonk. You know. Let's make a deal. You got a curtain number 1. Here's a nice vacation. But all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, you could have the mystery box." I chose.
And then the mystery box
is a zonk.
Okay.
I got zonked.
You got zonked. Okay.
I got zonked.
Fair enough. I mean, you know what? Now we talked about it
earlier about, maybe our next recording, we go back and watch an old Nitro from, spring break when they used to go outside.
I fucking love those shows.
Okay, well, the one that I was considering us watching that is from the year 2000. It's actually 2 weeks after this pay-per-view event.
Great.
It's WCW Monday Nitro from South Padre Island in Texas. And that show features Hulk Hogan taking on The Wall, Ric Flair and Lex Luger against Sting and Vampiro in like a beach brawl or whatever.
All right.
So I mean, it's not as long as this show. It's only an hour and a half. So I mean, it might be better. It might be better than actually watching.
Fuck it. Let's double
this
down.
show.
Let's do it.
But yeah, we'll watch that. So I'm gonna get right down to it. The Flair and Luger. We see Jeff Jarrett and the Harris boys arrive, and then we see a limousine. Hogan and Sid talking backstage about not trusting Flair and Luger. We see Jeff. I remember you mentioning when we were watching this match was with Juventud Guerrera in his corner. Now, the first thing I remember you mentioning when we were watching this match was, whose bright idea was it to take off the masks of these luchadors?
Right? How stupid is that, Dave?
I mean, like I said, Hoovy wasn't a bad-looking guy, but Psychosis, a face for radio for sure.
Woof.
I mean, the match would begin with some strange random music playing, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, comes Chris Candido.
Yep.
With zero reaction.
Zero.
I mean, the crowd, either they didn't know or they didn't care who he was.
What did they expect? No Chris Candido. Chris Candido would no Sonny. What did they expect was going to happen?
Yeah, I would imagine he probably would have gotten a bigger pop if he had her on his shoulder, or on his side, I should say. This match is kind of dead, to be honest with you.
Just like the spoiler alert, just like the whole fucking show.
I know, right? The finish comes when Paisley gets into it with Juventud outside and whips him with his own belt. Psychosis is distracted by it. Prince nails him with a second rope jumping DDT for the victory.
That's it.
That's it.
Like you just did the whole match.
Yeah.
You just did the whole fucking match.
And on commentary, Candido was on, and basically he was just kind of hyping himself up that he was going to be a part of the Cruiserweight division, and they kind of like fed into the internet rumors that he was going to be joining the company at the time, which I don't think anybody really cared for at that point. Let's move on. Mean Gene's with Bam Bam Bigelow to discuss his match with The Wall. And then our next match is XS, the team of Lane and Rave, formerly known as Lenny and Lodi, taking on the Kiss Demon and Norman Smiley. Miss Hancock, a.k.a. Stacy Keibler, comes out to join the announce team. XS will trash talk her in the ring while she's at the announce desk. Norman came out to the demon gear, which was kind of funny.
Yep. He came in the even the casket.
In the Kiss casket, which was a pretty funny entrance. I noticed that you noticed the ring gear for all the men involved. You thought there should have been better coordination with the leather pants.
It all looked the same. You couldn't tell who was like what team. It was the stupidest thing you ever saw in your life.
Yeah. The crowd was into Norman. They were chanting his name, but they could have cared less about the other three.
No, absolutely not.
And then we saw, which seemed to be a trend this show, spoiler alert, WCW officiating at its finest, allowing the opposing team to perform their double team moves in the ring, but the babyface of is still in the corner, letting his partner get his ass whooped.
Yep.
Yeah. The finish comes when Norman puts one of them in the Norman Conquest, which is a modified cross-face chicken wing. Another stinker.
Stinker.
Yep. The only noteworthy thing from this, Stacy Keibler couldn't really save the match, but the post-match thing was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Where she did the big wiggle, had the referee involved with the spank with Norman and the Kiss Demon and all that stuff. Kidman and Booker T and Tori Wilson are backstage discussing their upcoming tag match. Then we see David Flair and Crowbar in neck collars, neck braces with Daphne talking about The Wall. We get clips from previous episodes of Nitro and Thunder where we see the Wall's path of destruction, choke slamming everyone in sight through tables. Bam Bam Bigelow, David Flair, and Crowbar, which leads us to our next match, Bam Bam Bigelow versus The Wall. I'll be honest with you, Dennis. This was a solid big man match starting out.
I kind of agree with that.
Okay, actually. It wasn't. The crowd seemed to start to get into this match a little bit.
Yeah.
The action would eventually spill to the outside, where The Wall choke slams Bam Bam Bigelow through a table with computers set up. I think it was the WCW internet setup area or whatever, the computers explode. You get the little smoke and
Essentially picked him up 6 inches off the ground.
Yeah, didn't really go very far. And then the bells rung, which I thought this was an uncensored pay-per-view where there were no rules.
And not just that, a spoiler alert again, there's some matches that they were outside for fucking 35, 40 seconds.
Yeah.
They were gone for like maybe 7 or 8.
Yeah, the referee's not counting. The referee's not counting them out because the referee's following the action. But a choke slam on the outside through a table.
Too much. Yep, too much.
Gotta call it. Gotta call it. Crowbar and David Flair, they show up and jump the wall from behind. The EMTs are tending to Bigelow, and then we see Crowbar on the wall eventually climb up the entrance scaffolding, scaling it up. They fight to the top, and the wall choke slams Crowbar off the top of the entrance set into the stage, which got a pretty big pop and probably the spot of the night.
I gotta say, as much as I want to shit on everything in this, that was cool.
That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. And even like
good on you for Crowbar. He tried his best. He was the only person that made chicken shit out of chicken salad.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
I mean, and I'll give WCW credit here in this moment. The production aspect of it I thought was cool. When they looked up, they had this like camera shot of like a close up of like the wall looking down at Crowbar and what he just did, and I just thought that was kind of menacing and cool looking.
Kind of cool, yeah.
And to their credit, for as much as we're going to shit all over this show and for as much as people shit on WCW, and the revisionist history that there is out there, the wall was really positioned as a threat on television and leading up to this match.
Yeah.
For a younger talent as opposed to what was the standard in WCW, pushing the established guys. Next match, Brian Knobbs facing 3 count. Sugar Shane Helms, Shannon Moore, and Evan Courageous in a 3-on-1 handicap elimination match for the WCW Hardcore Championship. What did you think of this match?
It was awful. So I kind of remember Evan Courageous. Was he the first fall?
Yes, so I'll go through it. So I'll go through it,
please.
Actually, no, I'm sorry. Shane Helms was the first fall. So,
that's right. It's right. Yeah.
So Knobbs would place a steel chair across the face of Shane Helms, who had broken his nose, apparently, and avoided surgery just so he can go forward with the match. Knobbs would place a chair on his face and then take a broomstick and nail him in the face with that, making the cover and eliminating him.
I thought it was good psychology.
Okay. Then the match would continue as we would see Knobbs powerbomb Evan Courageous through a table from inside the ring outside to the floor for the next fall.
That's what I want to bring up.
Okay, so go ahead.
All right, this is what I want to bring up. So the second fall, Evan Courageous actually takes a kind of a gnarly bump.
Yeah.
That's actually a cool spot, actually. Yep. Boom, that gets pinned 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
The next pin is Shannon Moore against pinning Brian Knobbs, and because his feet was on the rope, there, nope, doesn't count.
Yes.
Doesn't count. No,
Yes.
sorry, Charlie.
And here's the thing, Shane Helms was eliminated at that point. So the spot was, to just provide a little context, Knobbs set up a table, and he went to go pick up Shannon Moore, and he was going to slam him through the table. Shane Helms jumps off the top rope, drop kicks Knobbs, who was holding Shannon Moore. Knobbs falls back. The attempt was to go through the table, but he fell over the table. Knobbs goes down. Moore goes to pin him, but Knobbs' foot is on the rope. The referee counted to 3, but realized his foot was on the rope and automatically restarted the match. So there's no rules in a hardcore match, but apparently there was rules when it came to the pinfall.
Yep.
Like, just the lack of consistency, my goodness.
It was awful.
Oh, it was terrible. I mean, I guess you could, if you really want to make a case for it, I guess WCW Uncensored is uncensored in more ways than one. There's no rules, or there's rules whenever you want to make them. It doesn't really matter. What do we got here?
Then the finish of the match.
So the real finish comes when Knob takes a trash can and jumps off the second rope and delivers a splash with the trash can onto Shannon Moore for the win.
It was awful.
Awful.
Great. Like I said, good spot with Evan Courageous. And I actually thought that was good psychology, like I was mentioned, because Helms had a nose injury. They used that. I get that.
Yeah.
But the finish of that match was god. The last 3-4 minutes of that match was god awful.
Yeah, and it wasn't that very long either. We see a promo backstage with Mean Gene and Harlem Heat talking about the upcoming tag match against Kidman and Booker. And the former Ahmed Johnson, who was known as Big T, barely could get out a word of English in his promo. Just awful. I don't know what WCW was thinking signing him at that time. The limo's backstage. The announcers speculate who it is. And then we got Vampiro in an undisclosed location talk about doing violent things to Finlay for their match later on in the evening. Tag team match, our 5th match on the card. Booker and Kidman versus Harlem Heat 2000. Stevie Ray and Big T. What'd you think of this match?
Kind of a mess.
Yeah.
That Ahmed Johnson or whatever his name, Big T, whatever.
We can still call him Ahmed Johnson.
Whatever the fuck, right? Out of shape like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
It was bad.
He'd seen better days. What Dennis might be referring to, and correct me if I'm wrong, was there was a spot in the match where the action spilled out to the floor, and the Harlem Heat's bodyguard, Cash, this monster of a man, he's holding Kidman. Ahmed jumps over the guardrail into the crowd and then runs from the crowd to deliver a plancha and dive over the guardrail, but he barely makes it over the guardrail and doesn't even touch Kidman.
Nope.
and Cash just lets him fall.
Yeah, it was a mess.
The finish was actually I thought the finish was clever, but I think the crowd was happy that the match was over because of not because of the actual finish itself. So Kidman goes for a sunset flip on Ahmed or Big T, whatever you want to call him, and he can't get him over. And then Booker delivers his sidekick, gets him over. Kidman then makes the cover 1, 2, 3, and the winner of the match, Kidman and Booker.
Mercifully,
yeah. And I didn't really care for this match until that finish.
Yeah.
So that's how bad the match was. They replay the Walls choke slam with Crowbar, really kind of building him up as this monster. I thought that was a nice touch. The next match, which was probably the match of the night, and it's not saying much, was the Finlay Vampiro Falls Count Anywhere match.
Yeah, I would say I agree with that.
Yeah?
I'm trying to go the road to a Rolodex. Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, it was a fun brawl,
Yeah.
physical. Finley's a very physical performer, so he kind of brought it with Vampiro. The crowd was pretty into it, and then especially when it went into the crowd and into the concession area, made its way into the bathroom. There was a neat spot when Vampiro jumped off the top of the bathroom stall, and he ate a garbage can to the face by
cool,
Finley. It eventually would make its way to the outside of the concourse area. There was like a balcony kind of like lounge area of the arena that looks over the water in Miami on the waterfront. And then the finish comes when Vampiro delivers his what he calls the nail in the coffin, a Michinoku driver, to Finley on the concrete for the win.
There's not much to say.
Not much to say.
I actually, for what it was probably the match of the night. I still expected more just because I love Finley and I love Vampiro.
Yeah.
I expected more.
I kind of did too. I'll be honest with you. I kind of did too. I think having also 11 matches on this card kind of took away from some of the matches that could have used more time.
Right, yeah.
Like this match. This match probably could have used more time. I would have liked to have seen it get more time because they were just starting to really pick things up when they made their way into the concourse area. And I felt there wasn't enough falls to take place in and around the falls count anywhere match. Like you try to pin them on the floor, you try to pin them in the concession area. They just kind of went up to the concession area and then did the majority of their falls outside of the ring. And I just thought that deserved more time. The 7th match on this card, the Harris brothers taking on the Mamalukes with Disco Inferno in a no disqualification match for the WCW Tag Team Championship. This is where the card dipped back down and declined because, first of all, this is a no disqualification match, but for, I would say, 99.9% of the match, there was nothing that resembled a no disqualification match. They didn't fight all over the ringside area. They didn't use any weapons. Not saying that like they needed to, but if you're going to advertise a match like that, at least give us something, And nobody cared about this match.
No.
When you watch this match, Dennis, if you go back, I mean, we just watched it, but you'll remember, it sounded like to me that when these 4 guys were wrestling each other, that the people in the crowd weren't even paying attention. They were having conversations amongst themselves about God knows what, other than what they were watching.
Yeah.
What's your take on it?
Oh, you're absolutely right, and also too that it wasn't just this match. It was every match that the hard cam. It was you saw this whole row of empty seats. They should have. Why did it have people from the upper decks just go down to those seats?
I don't know.
Was such a bad look.
Yeah, there were a lot of times where people left in your right dead center in the hard camera section. You could see that there was people.
A whole section, just gone.
Yeah, there was a row that was gone a few times for a few matches.
I mean, row, yeah.
The only thing that resembled no disqualification in this match was when Disco Inferno came in with the title belt, nailed one of the Harris brothers, got zero reaction. The Harris brother kicked out, and then the finish comes when the Harris brothers deliver the H-bomb, spine buster, whatever you want to call it, to Big Vito for the win, and new WCW World Tag Team Champions, the Harris brothers.
Yep.
Again, another match nobody really cared for. If there was anything that Well, and I remember as we were watching this, as I just hit myself in the head with my headphones, Finley's backstage, and he kind of gives props to Vampiro for the fight that he gave him and earning his respect in the Falls Count Anywhere match. What did you think of that?
I totally missed it. I don't remember that. I really don't.
All right, so here's what else is wrong with this podcast and today. Dennis doesn't remember half the shit we watched or what we talked about.
I just don't remember that. Jeez. Yeah,
you don't remember sitting there and say, I remember you saying, "Oh my God, wow, I'm surprised that you even said that."
Really? No, I totally went over. I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
There was a part.
I get it. This show sucks, but my God,
yeah,
man. Whew. We're really providing our listeners with a great podcast.
I'm sorry.
The next match, the 8th match on the card, Dustin Rhodes and Terry Funk in a Texas bull rope match. Now, do you remember this part when Terry Funk comes out with his hand stuffed in a raw chicken?
Yeah, salmonella.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. What'd you call it?
I don't know.
Of course you didn't. Why would you?
I just remember
Salmonella City.
Oh yeah.
As I'm typing salmonella, Dennis says, "Oh, Salmonella City."
It was gross.
But of course he doesn't remember it. Yeah.
You saw like chicken juice that go down the chicken on his hand.
Why would you want to wrestle somebody that just had their hand up a raw chicken? That was terrible. But what was even more terrible was that then they had a chicken mascot enter the ring, and Dustin chased him off. But then I'm
convinced that was Cody. I'm convinced.
Yeah, that's right. You said earlier, that looks like Cody's body type. Like you could fucking tell in a chicken suit. That could have been like an 18-year-old Cody Rhodes.
Looked like it was like 6 foot something.
I wouldn't surprise me if it was 18-year-old Cody Rhodes at the time. But yeah, Jesus Christ. Anyways, Dustin controlled the majority of the match, beating Funk up with the bull rope as the crowd just didn't seem to care. The chicken mascot would run back in again and attack Dustin. Crowd still doesn't care. Same for the announcers.
It was kind of funny, though, that they made the fake chicken sounds. I actually thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was, I got a chuckle out of that, too. Again, this is another match where the audience isn't even paying attention. They just don't seem to care. They're having
why would they?
Conversations amongst themselves as this match is going on. Mid-match, Terry Funk decides to change the rules and call it an I Quit match.
I actually thought that was a clever way of like protecting. You knew who was going to win after that. I thought that was a clever way of protecting Terry Funk.
Yeah, but he didn't win that way because Funk tried to get. He's beating him with the cowbell, and he tells Dustin to quit. Dustin says he quits. Funk thinks he won, but the referee actually recognizes the real rules of the match as a Texas bull rope match and says, "No, you can't win that way." And then Dustin ends up beating the shit out of him with the cowbell for a little while, and
a pile driver right on the bell.
Yep,
that's kind of cool.
He delivers a pile driver to Funk onto the cowbell for the win. Post match, they both beat each other up with the cowbell as they chase each other off to the backstage area. What did you think of the match itself?
It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I thought it still. I would die in this hill. That I thought it was clever. Terry Funk was like, it's now an I Quit match. He made him say I quit, and then you knew instantly Dustin was going to win the match. And it's like that was kind of a way of protecting both of them. Okay. I kind of liked it.
That's fair enough. Next match, a cast lumberjack match, the total package with Elizabeth taking on Sting. Everyone that Luger had injured in the previous weeks are wearing arm casts as lumberjacks. So you have Jimmy Hart, Kurt Hennig, WCW head of security Doug Dillinger, very random.
Yep.
Finley, Brian Knobbs, and Vampiro. Luger would bring out his own set of lumberjacks, all sporting casts, individuals that he did not injure on television, such as Hugh Morris, the Harlem Heat, and the Harris Brothers. Pretty standard psychology for a lumberjack match. The heel lumberjacks go after the babyface on the floor. The babyface lumberjacks go after the heel on the floor.
Did they, though? I don't remember one time where they dumped
Well, because you
Luger.
weren't fucking paying attention to this whole fucking show.
Did that happen, though? I don't remember that.
You're unbelievable.
I don't remember that.
Of course you don't. Why would you? You didn't remember half the fucking things we talked about during this show, or half the shit that happened on the fucking show.
Jesus, I just don't I remember the heels attacking Sting, but I don't remember the faces.
They didn't attack the heels. They brought him back in the ring.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember the faces getting their comeuppance for Luger breaking their arms.
The baby faces. That
should have been the whole point, right?
Yeah, you would think, but they didn't really. They just threw him back in the ring because that's the good guy thing to do.
That's what I mean. They should have beat the shit out of him.
Yeah. Anyways, Tank Abbott shows up midway through the match and knocks out Doug Dillinger and then leaves.
For no reason.
I didn't get that booking there. The Lumberjacks would eventually fight each other to the backstage area, with Vampiro being the only Lumberjack left. There's been more action outside the ring than there had been inside the ring for this match. Flair gets involved, attacking Vampiro. Then he jumps in the ring to go after Sting, but Sting fights him off. The finish comes when Liz nails Sting with a baseball bat. Vampiro takes it from her as Jimmy Hart runs down to chase her off with his Hulk Hogan weightlifting belt. And then Luger goes for the torture rack. Vampiro nails Lex with the bat. Sting follows up with a scorpion death drop for the win. Considering it's Sting, you would think this match was going to be decent, but it sucked.
It sucked.
Yeah, Sting couldn't even save this match. My goodness. That's saying something, how bad this match is. Number 10, our 10th match of the show. Sid defending the WCW World Heavyweight Championship against Jeff Jarrett. All right, so this is pretty much the brief rundown of the match. Again, nobody cared.
Nope.
Okay, nobody gave a shit. But the Harris brothers would get involved, and the referee would let it fly, even though it wasn't advertised as a no disqualification type of match. Again, WCW officiating at its finest. Jarrett would elbow the referee. Do you remember this now?
Okay.
Let's see if you remember this, since your fucking memory's so shot. Seriously, what the fuck today? Jeff Jarrett elbows the referee and then rams his head into the turnbuckle.
Yes, I remember.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and then midway through it, you're like, wait, what's going on? That's fucking bullshit. What's he do? What a fucking moron. You didn't even let the thing play out. Because then Jeff Jarrett's crooked referee, Slick Johnson, shows up. Right?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then he goes to make the count.
Hogan was right behind
him. And Hogan was right behind him, and Hogan pulls him out. Hogan comes in. He cleans house of Jarrett. Then he goes after the Harris brothers. I think he disposes of the referee. This is what made him a fucking idiot. Hold on. Okay. I'm getting there. I'm telling the story since you don't fucking remember anything. Hogan delivers the big leg to Jarrett, drapes Sid over. Referee Nick Patrick, who is awake finally, counts 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere comes Scott Steiner, who they implied on commentary was the person in the limousine that is the insurance policy of Jeff Jarrett, also a member of the NWO at that time. The NWO was a thing at that time, which I was surprised, considering how...
I actually was surprised, too.
That was fucking as flat as piss on a plate, that NWO. Steiner nails Hogan with a guitar. They beat on Hogan. Sid makes the save. And then Flair shows up with the leather strap, which leads us to the main event. But what were you going to say, if you even remember it?
I do remember.
Okay.
So anyway, so Nick Patrick is not out, but he's down.
Yes.
Before he hits him in the turnbuckle. So the guitar is there. You can see what's going to happen. Hit him with the guitar, and then Nick Patrick could barely do the 1, 2, 3 because he's groggy.
Yep.
What knocked him out was that the guitar is now in the ring.
Yep.
Nick Patrick is down and like, oh, I'm hurt. But then when when fucking the next move that was fucking Jarrett taking Nick Patrick's head into the turnbuckle, he knocked him out. It's like
You said that already.
That's what I'm saying, though. You fucking idiot. You fucking had the guitar in there. Nick Patrick is hurt but not out. Whack him with the fucking thing. Have Patrick fucking do the pin, and the match is over. That's what made him a fucking idiot. But
I don't get what you're saying.
All right, so this is what happened.
Slow it down.
All right, this is what happened, right? I forget.
Oh, of course you forget. You forget everything.
Jared hits him, right?
Jared hits him. He elbows him in the head. Then he takes his head, smashes his head into the turnbuckle, knocks him.
He elbowed him. He was just hurt. He could.
Yeah, and then then he did it further and smashed his head into the turnbuckle.
See, if he didn't do that, he could have won the match.
Oh, you're acting like this is real now?
No, I'm just saying. That's why I made him a fucking idiot.
What the lack of logic in the sense is that Steiner was supposed to be Jarrett's insurance policy. He shows up after the match after fucking Hogan screwed Jarrett.
That was stupid too. Yeah, they didn't even show him getting out of the fucking limo.
Yeah,
they made the whole time they're like, "Oh, this limousine. What's in the limousine?" They didn't even show him getting out of the fucking limousine.
Yeah. This thing was a mess. This fucking whole thing was a mess. And then it leads us to the main event, which was even worse. Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan in the Yappa Pie strap match.
You're right. I think that was the worst match of the night. I really do.
The main event?
Yeah, I absolutely believe that.
Let me run through the highlights here, which there isn't many. Flair bleeds because I guess the match needed color,
and the strap kept them going off their arms all the time.
They couldn't keep the strap on.
No,
say that 5 times fast. Jimmy Hart would then whip Ric Flair with the leather strap, which actually got a solid pop. Luger would make his way out to nail Hogan with a chair to the head, which now gets Hogan some color, but then Luger leaves. Very anticlimactic. Crowd didn't care. Both men whipped each other with the strap all over the ring and the ringside area. Still, nobody cared. Flair goes for a cover during the match when the whole point of the match was, and they even said the rules, was that you had to touch all 4 corners by dragging your opponent with the leather strap. But Hogan kicked out so they could do the fucking spot where Hogan shakes his head and points at him and does the big fucking comeback. WCW showing its true colors yet again.
Wait, folks, if you haven't seen
then here's the finish.
Here's the finish.
Here's the finish. Hogan goes to touch all 4 corners. As he gets to the 4th corner, Luger shows up. Hogan then fights off Luger. Then he gives Flair the big leg drop. The referee counts 1, 2, 3. The match is over. Then Hogan touches the 4th corner.
And not just that, the chef kiss, the chef diarrhea kiss, and the whole thing was. They do the 1, 2, 3. Hogan's music hits, and then like 3 Mississippis later, he hits the 4th turnbuckle.
Yeah. Oh my goodness! Between watching this show, Dennis not remembering half of what we just watched, and then now recording this, I apologize to all of you and Dennis should be apologizing to all of you as well for breaking the tie and choosing this show for us to watch.
I'm sorry, it was bad.
But we will have another poll that will include a WCW pay-per-view from the year 2000. So I can't promise that our listeners are not going to want us to recap another WCW pay-per-view again. I'll be honest with you.
Oh, at least we'll be ready for it. At least we'll know, like...
At least it won't be your choice.
Yeah.
And if it is a tiebreaker, I'm going to redo the poll again. Okay? So that about does it for this episode of Kicking Out at 2, running at like 33 minutes. Okay, not terrible. Okay, whatever. Thank you all for trudging through this. If you want to watch this show, if you want to waste your goddamn time, it's 2 hours and 34 minutes. It's on Peacock. I don't suggest you do that. But if for some reason you I'm telling you right now, I'd rather pass a kidney stone than never watch this show again.
With you 10,000%.
Yeah. Anyhow, be on the lookout for some WrestleMania content coming up in the streams, in the archives. You guys went to the polls and smashed the polls and selected WrestleMania 6 as a show for us to recap coming up. So whether Dennis and I do it together or we do it, or if I do it by myself, WrestleMania 6 recap will be coming up in the next several weeks as we get through to WrestleMania, as well as some other great WrestleMania content. Dennis, thank you as always, even though you were half useless today.
Hey, but historically speaking, it's normally a great pleasure being on this podcast. But this was a chore. This one was a chore.
Yes, this was definitely a chore. It's not going to be a chore to put this one down for the 3 count, though, and we will see you all next time.